What if I told you that 400 years ago, a group of men built something so mathematically perfect that modern computers struggle to understand how they did it? What if I told you they moved stones heavier than cars, 300 miles, without a single truck, crane or machine? And what if I told you that if you tried to slide even the thinnest knife between any two stones of this building, you'd fail, because the joints are literally tighter than anything modern technology can achieve? You'd probably think I'm making this up, right? You'd think this sounds impossible. Well, get ready to have your mind completely blown, because tonight we're talking about a building that shouldn't exist according to the laws of physics, yet somehow it's been standing perfectly for over 350 years. Welcome back to the Sleepy Structures, where we explore the world's most magnificent buildings. Through the gentle lens of history, one story at a time, tonight we travel to Agra, India, to a building that has confused engineers and baffled architects for centuries, a structure so perfect that some people believe it was built by beings from another world. This is the story of the Taj Mahal, not the love story you've heard 1,000 times, but the construction story that will keep you awake wondering, how on earth did they do this? So dim the lights, get comfortable, and prepare to discover the most impossible building project in human history. In 1632, in the city of Agra, something extraordinary began, a construction project so ambitious that it would require 22 years to complete. But this wasn't just any building project. This was an attempt to create perfection in marble. And somehow, against all odds, they actually succeeded. The numbers alone sound impossible. 20,000 workers, gathered from 7 different countries, each one a master craftsman in their specialized field. Stone carvers traveled from Bukhara, dome builders journeyed from Samarkand, calligraphers arrived from Syria, inlay artists came from Delhi, garden designers descended from Kashmir. For over 2 decades, these men worked together, speaking different languages, following different customs, yet united by a single vision: to build something that had never been attempted before. The main material for this monument, pure white marble, had to be transported from quarries 300 miles away. In the desert region of Makrana, each marble block weighed over 1,000 pounds, heavier than a modern automobile, and thousands of these massive stones were needed for the construction. The logistics alone should have been impossible. Moving such weight across such distance, through mountains and desert terrain, using only elephants, oxen, and human strength. 1,000 elephants were employed, working in carefully coordinated teams, pulling specially constructed wooden carts along temporary roads built specifically for this purpose. But the real miracle happened when these massive blocks reached the construction site. Each stone underwent cutting and shaping with a precision that defies explanation. The joints between marble blocks are so perfectly fitted that they appear seamless, as if the entire structure were carved from a single piece of stone. Modern engineers with laser-guided equipment cannot achieve this level of precision, yet these craftsmen accomplished it. Using only hand tools and human skill, the mathematical perfection extends to every aspect of the structure. Every measurement follows the golden ratio. Every proportion creates perfect harmony. Every angle serves both function and beauty. The building achieves perfect symmetry, not just in its overall design, but in every minute detail. Every decorative element has its exact mirror image. Every architectural feature maintains perfect balance. Even more remarkably, the designers incorporated optical illusions. To compensate for human visual perception, the Great Dome appears perfectly spherical, but is actually slightly egg-shaped, to counteract the flattening effect of viewing it from ground level. The 4 minarets surrounding the main structure appear to stand perfectly vertical, but each one tilts slightly outward. This prevents them from appearing to lean inward when viewed from below. These weren't accidental discoveries. These were deliberate design choices based on sophisticated understanding of optics and human psychology. Centuries before such knowledge became formally recognized science, the decorative work reached levels of intricacy that border on the impossible. Precious stones from across Asia were cut into microscopic pieces and fitted into intricate floral patterns. Lapis lazuli journeyed from Afghanistan, jade arrived from distant China, turquoise came from the mountains of Tibet, coral was harvested from Arabian seas. Each precious stone, no matter how small, was cut by hand to exact specifications and set with mathematical precision into patterns of breathtaking complexity. The calligraphy adorning the walls presents another marvel of engineering. Quranic verses flow around archways and across vast wall surfaces in perfect proportional harmony. But here's the most astounding aspect. The text appears uniform in size from every viewing angle. This optical trick requires that letters at the top of high arches be carved significantly larger than those at eye level. The mathematical calculations required to achieve this visual consistency would challenge modern computers, yet somehow these craftsmen, working with basic measuring tools, accomplished perfect optical balance. The construction process itself defied every limitation of the era. Massive marble blocks were lifted to heights exceeding 200 feet, using only human-powered pulleys and ingenious mechanical systems. The Great Dome, rising 240 feet above ground level, was constructed using techniques that modern engineers struggle to comprehend: the weight distribution, the structural engineering, the precision of curved surfaces, all achieved without modern technology. Quality control reached obsessive levels. Every stone underwent multiple inspections. Every joint was tested for perfection. Every decorative element was examined under the most demanding standards. Nothing was considered good enough unless it achieved absolute perfection. This wasn't just craftsmanship. This was the pursuit of the impossible, made manifest in marble and precious stone. The financial investment matched the technical ambition. In today's currency, the project cost approximately $1 billion. Every rupee spent on materials and labour of the highest possible quality for 22 years, from 1632 to 1654. This extraordinary endeavour continued through scorching summers and bitter winters, through political upheavals and administrative challenges. Yet somehow, despite every obstacle, despite every limitation of their era, these remarkable craftsmen created something that shouldn't exist, a building so mathematically perfect, so technically advanced, so aesthetically flawless, that it continues to confound experts 4 centuries after its completion. The Taj Mahal stands today not just as a monument, but as proof of human capability that transcends the boundaries of what we believe possible. And this is just the beginning of the most extraordinary construction story ever told. But how exactly do you organize 20,000 craftsmen from 7 different countries into a functioning workforce? This wasn't just about hiring skilled workers. This was about creating the world's first international construction corporation. 4 centuries before globalization existed, the recruitment process began. 3 years before construction started, agents of the Mughal court travelled to distant lands, carrying imperial commissions and promises of extraordinary payment. From the ancient city of Bukhara, in present-day Uzbekistan, came the Petra Dura specialists, masters of stone inlay work, who had perfected their craft over generations of artistic tradition. These weren't ordinary stoneworkers. They were artists who could transform hard marble into delicate flowers, creating patterns so intricate that each piece required months of painstaking hand carving. The dome construction experts journeyed from Samarkand, the legendary Silk Road city where Islamic architecture had reached unprecedented heights. Under the patronage of Tamerlane, these master builders possessed secrets of weight distribution and structural engineering, passed down through centuries of constructing magnificent mosques and royal mausoleum complexes. From Damascus and Baghdad came the calligraphers, scholars of Arabic script, who understood not just the art of writing, but the mathematical principles of proportional letter formation. Their skill extended beyond mere penmanship. They were geometric artists who could calculate the exact size of each letter at varying heights, to create optical uniformity across massive architectural surfaces. The metalworkers arrived from Persia, bringing techniques for creating the iron dowels and clamps that would hold massive marble blocks in perfect alignment for centuries to come. From Kashmir descended the garden design specialists, masters of hydraulic engineering, who understood water flow, fountain mechanics, and the precise mathematics of creating perfect reflection pools. Southern India contributed the most skilled inlay artists, craftsmen who worked with precious stones, so small they appeared like coloured dust, yet each piece cut with precision that modern jewellers struggle to match. The logistics of housing and feeding such a diverse workforce created unprecedented challenges. Temporary cities were constructed around the building site, complete with workshops, dormitories as markets and administrative offices. Language barriers required a complex system of translators and visual communication methods. Technical drawings became the universal language, binding together craftsmen who shared no common tongue. Work schedules had to accommodate different religious practices. Prayer times varied by faith. Dietary requirements differed by culture. Festival days followed separate calendars. Yet somehow coordination emerged through a hierarchical system that respected cultural differences while maintaining strict quality standards and construction timelines. Master craftsmen supervised teams of apprentices and labourers. Knowledge transfer happened continuously as techniques from different regions merged into innovative solutions for unprecedented technical challenges. The payment system reflected the international nature of the workforce. Wages were calculated not just by time worked, but by skill level demonstrated and quality of output achieved. Bonus payments rewarded exceptional craftsmanship, innovation in problem solving, and successful collaboration between workers from different backgrounds. Medical facilities were established to treat injuries from heavy lifting, stone dust inhalation, and repetitive motion injuries that plagued workers in such physically demanding trades. Tool workshops operated continuously, maintaining and replacing the thousands of chisels, hammers, files, and measuring instruments required by specialized craftsmen working with unforgiving materials. Quality control inspectors, drawn from the most experienced craftsmen, examined every completed element, rejecting work that failed to meet impossible standards of mathematical precision. The social dynamics of such a diverse community created unexpected innovations. Persian geometric principles, combined with Indian decorative traditions, produced entirely new artistic techniques. Central Asian structural methods merged with Arabian calligraphic arts. Syrian stone-cutting expertise enhanced Kashmiri water engineering. Each cultural contribution strengthened the collective capability. Disciplinary systems maintained order without crushing creative initiative. Workers who demonstrated excellence received increased responsibilities and opportunities to train others in their specialized techniques. The administrative challenge of coordinating such complexity required unprecedented organizational skills. Daily work assignments, material distribution schedules, progress tracking systems all functioned with clockwork precision. Despite the absence of modern communication technology or project management software, this extraordinary workforce became more than the sum of its individual talents. They evolved into a collective intelligence capable of achieving the impossible. But their raw talent and organization would mean nothing without the materials to transform their vision into reality. But assembling the world's greatest craftsmen was only half the challenge. The other half lay scattered across thousands of miles in quarries, mines, and distant lands. The materials needed for this project had never been gathered in such quantities or transported such distances for a single construction. The search for perfect white marble led imperial scouts to the remote hills of Makrana, in Rajasthan's Nagar district, where geological forces had created something extraordinary. This wasn't ordinary limestone. Makrana marble possessed unique qualities that made it ideal for the most demanding construction project in human history, the stone's crystalline structure allowed for incredibly fine detail work while maintaining structural strength under enormous weight. Its pure white color would provide the perfect canvas for intricate inlay patterns, but extracting marble from these ancient quarries required techniques that pushed human capability to its absolute limits. Master quarrymen identified the precise locations where flawless blocks could be extracted using wooden wedges soaked in water overnight to create controlled fractures. Along natural grain lines, each block underwent inspection for internal flaws, stress fractures, or color variations that would compromise the building's perfect uniformity. Only one block in 20 met the impossible standards required for this construction. The rejected stones were set aside. For lesser projects, once approved blocks were carefully shaped at the quarry site to reduce transportation weight while maintaining enough material for final precision cutting at the construction location. The transportation network required for moving these massive stone blocks became an engineering marvel in its own right. Specially designed ox carts with reinforced wooden wheels were constructed to carry individual blocks weighing more than 1,000 pounds. The route from Makrana to Agra crossed desert terrain, rocky hill country, and river valleys that had never seen such heavy traffic. Temporary roads were built with stone foundations to prevent the heavy carts from sinking into sand or becoming mired in monsoon mud. River crossings required specially constructed rafts capable of supporting multiple ton loads without capsizing in swift currents. The elephant teams assigned to this transport duty were selected for strength, endurance, and ability to work. In coordinated groups, each elephant could pull approximately 3,000 pounds, but the real skill lay in training multiple animals to move in perfect synchronization around obstacles and upgrades. The journey from quarry to construction site took 6 weeks during favorable weather, but monsoon rains could extend transport time to 3 months. Beyond marble, the project demanded precious stones from every corner of the known world. Lapis lazuli caravans departed from Afghanistan's Badakhshan province, where the finest blue stone had been mined since ancient times. These weren't simple trading expeditions. Imperial buyers carried specific quality requirements, color intensity standards, and size specifications that brooked no compromise. Chinese jade merchants transported their finest specimens along treacherous mountain passes of the Silk Road, each stone individually wrapped and cushioned for the journey. Tibetan turquoise, prized for its sky blue perfection, required negotiations with remote mountain communities who had guarded their mining secrets for generations. Red coral from Arabian seas demanded diving expeditions into dangerous waters, where skilled pearl divers risked their lives to harvest the finest specimens. The logistics of coordinating these multiple supply chains created administrative challenges that had never been attempted. Advance payments secured exclusive access to the best materials, while quality inspectors stationed at distant locations verified each shipment before authorizing transport. Storage facilities at the construction site were organized like a massive outdoor warehouse with different sections for various stone types, precious materials, and finished components. Inventory tracking systems recorded every incoming shipment, its origin point, quality grade, and intended use in the final structure. Weather protection for sensitive materials required covered storage areas with controlled ventilation to prevent moisture damage or temperature fluctuations. The sheer scale of material consumption staggered contemporary observers. Daily deliveries included dozens of marble blocks, hundreds of precious stones, thousands of bronze fittings, iron for structural clamps, came from Bengal's furnaces, where metallurgists had perfected alloy compositions that would resist corrosion for centuries, lead for sealing joints, arrived from Rajasthan mines in precisely measured quantities to fill the microscopic gaps between perfectly fitted stones. Even common materials, like lime for mortar, were sourced from specific locations, known for exceptional quality and tested rigorously. Before acceptance, the timber requirements for scaffolding and construction equipment stripped entire forests of their finest trees, each log selected for strength and grain quality. Rope manufacture for lifting heavy blocks consumed enormous quantities of hemp and jute fiber twisted into cables strong enough to support multi-ton loads. The financial investment in materials alone exceeded the annual revenue of most European kingdoms. Every purchase decision reflected the unwavering commitment to absolute perfection. Quality standards remained impossibly high throughout the entire 22-year construction period. No shortcuts, no substitutions, no compromises, but gathering these materials was only the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, in transforming raw stone and metal into architectural perfection. Now imagine you're standing at the construction site in 1632, surrounded by mountains of marble blocks, piles of precious stones, and 20,000 skilled craftsmen. But here's the real question. How do you actually build something that has never been built before? The first challenge facing the architects wasn't artistic or decorative. It was purely mathematical. How do you create a foundation strong enough to support millions of pounds of marble on soft riverbank soil? Traditional foundation techniques would never suffice. The weight of the planned structure would cause catastrophic settling within the first few years, rendering the entire project a spectacular failure. The solution they developed had never been attempted at such massive scale. Deep foundation wells were dug down to bedrock, some extending over 100 feet below ground level. But here's what makes this extraordinary. Each foundation well was filled with precisely calculated layers of different materials: stone rubble at the bottom, mortar and brick in the middle, perfectly fitted stone blocks at the top. The engineering precision required to distribute weight evenly across dozens of foundation points, while maintaining perfect structural balance, pushed mathematical knowledge beyond anything previously achieved. Once the foundation system was complete, the real engineering marvel began, lifting multi-ton marble blocks to heights exceeding 200 feet, using only human power and mechanical advantage. The lifting system they designed combined multiple innovations into one integrated mechanism. Inclined ramps spiraled around the structure, while compound pulley systems multiplied human lifting force. But think about this for a moment. A single marble block weighing 2,000 pounds requires the coordinated effort of over 100 men, working in perfect synchronization, to lift it even a few feet. Now multiply that challenge by thousands of blocks, each one requiring precise placement at specific heights and angles, with zero margin for error. The scaffolding system alone represented an engineering achievement that wouldn't be surpassed. For centuries, bamboo poles lashed together created frameworks strong enough to support massive stone blocks. During positioning and adjustment, temperature control became critical. Marble expands and contracts, with changes in heat and cold. Blocks fitted perfectly during cool morning hours could jam tight. By scorching afternoon, work schedules were adjusted to accommodate thermal expansion. Precision fitting happened during optimal temperature windows, when stone dimensions remained most stable. The mortar-free construction technique pushed stone-cutting precision to impossible levels. Each block required shaping, with tolerances measured in fractions of inches. Hand tools achieved accuracy that modern machinery struggles to replicate. Chisels guided by master craftsmen created surfaces so smooth they appeared polished without any finishing treatment. Water-level systems ensured perfect horizontal alignment across the entire structure. Any deviation from true level would create cumulative errors that would destroy the building's mathematical harmony, plumb lines verified, vertical alignment with obsessive attention to microscopic variations that could compound into major structural problems. The dome construction presented the ultimate challenge. How do you build a perfectly curved surface 240 feet above ground without modern cranes or structural steel support? The double shell design they developed created a lighter outer dome supported by a stronger inner shell. This innovation distributed weight more effectively while creating the desired silhouette. Temporary wooden frameworks, called centering, supported the dome during construction. These frameworks had to be precisely calculated to match the final curved shape. But here's the truly remarkable part. Once construction was complete, all temporary supports were carefully removed, leaving the dome supporting itself entirely. Through geometric perfection, quality control inspections happened at every stage. Master craftsmen examined each completed section using specialized measuring tools that detected variations invisible to untrained eyes. Rejected work was demolished and rebuilt completely, no matter how much time or expensive material had already been invested. The precision they achieved defied contemporary understanding of engineering possibilities. Joints between stones were fitted so perfectly that air couldn't pass between them. This level of accuracy required not just skill, but mathematical knowledge that seemed almost supernatural to observers of that era. Acoustic engineering was built into the structure. The dome's interior shape created perfect sound reflection, so whispers at ground level could be heard clearly. At the dome's apex, optical calculations determined the exact proportions of every architectural element to create visual harmony from multiple viewing angles and distances. The structural engineering principles they employed wouldn't be formally documented by European scientists for another 2 centuries, yet somehow these craftsmen, working with empirical knowledge and generations of experience, achieved engineering solutions that modern computers confirm as mathematically perfect. By 1645, 13 years into construction, the main structure stood complete, a testament to human ingenuity that challenged every assumption about pre-industrial capabilities. But the engineering triumph was only the foundation for the artistic masterpiece that would crown this achievement. With the main structure complete and the engineering challenges conquered, the builders faced their final test, creating the crowning glory that would define this monument for all eternity. But how do you construct a dome so perfect that it appears to float above the earth? Picture this challenge for a moment. You need to build a curved surface that spans 58 feet in diameter, rises 35 feet in height, and sits 200 feet above ground, using nothing but stone blocks and human ingenuity. The mathematical complexity alone should have made this impossible. Each stone in the dome required a unique shape, cut to precise angles. That would only make sense when fitted with its neighbors. The master builders developed a revolutionary construction technique known as the double shell system. But this wasn't just 2 domes stacked together. This was architectural genius, hidden in plain sight. The inner shell, visible from inside the tomb, created the perfect acoustic environment, while the outer shell shaped the silhouette that visitors see from miles away. Between these 2 shells lay a complex framework of brick ribs and supports that distributed the enormous weight through carefully calculated stress patterns down to the foundation. The construction sequence required unprecedented precision timing. Stone blocks couldn't be placed in random order. Each piece depended on others, already in position, to maintain structural integrity. Working from the base upward, craftsmen used wooden centering, temporary curved frameworks that supported each ring of stones until the next ring above could lock everything in place. But here's what makes this extraordinary. As the dome curved inward toward its apex, The margin for error decreased with every course until the final stones had to fit with perfect precision. The keystone at the very top, the last piece placed, had to be cut so accurately that it would slide into position without forcing or adjustment. One miscalculation and the entire dome could collapse. Temperature played a crucial role. In the construction timing, stones expanded in heat, contracted in cold. Work could only proceed during narrow temperature windows. When dimensions remained stable, the lifting mechanisms for dome construction required constant innovation. As the structure rose higher, traditional ramps became impractical. Pulley systems grew more complex. Teams of men stationed at different levels passed stones upward in a human chain that stretched from ground to the dome's growing edge. Each stone in the dome weighed between 400 and 800 pounds. Moving such weight at extreme heights with primitive equipment should have been impossible, yet somehow they managed to place over 1,000 stones in perfect geometric arrangement without a single structural failure or construction accident. The dome's exterior surface required additional complexity. Decorative ribs ran from base to summit, each one perfectly straight. Despite following the dome's curved profile, these ribs weren't just ornamental. They provided structural reinforcement while creating visual lines that emphasized the dome's proportion and graceful ascending curve. The finial crowning the dome presented its own engineering challenge. This bronze spire, topped with a crescent moon, stood 30 feet tall and weighed over 1,000 pounds. Installing this finial required lifting equipment that could reach 240 feet above ground level while maintaining perfect balance and precise alignment. The 4 minarets surrounding the main structure added another layer of engineering complexity. Each tower stood 130 feet tall, but appeared perfectly proportioned from every viewing angle. Here's something fascinating. These minarets aren't perfectly vertical. They lean slightly outward. By just a few degrees, this prevents them from appearing to lean inward. When viewed from below, the optical illusion works because human perception expects tall, vertical objects to appear tilted when seen from ground level. The builders compensated for this visual distortion. Each minaret contains a spiral staircase leading to a viewing platform. The stairs wind upward through the hollow interior, carved from solid stone blocks. The precision required to create these spiral passages while maintaining structural strength pushed stone-cutting techniques beyond anything previously achieved. The main structure's symmetry extended to microscopic details. Every architectural element on the eastern side had its exact mirror image on the western side. This perfect bilateral symmetry required mathematical planning that coordinated thousands of individual components into one harmonious whole. The central chamber, housing the main tomb, created its own acoustic marvel. The dome's interior shape amplified and prolonged sound, creating an echo that lasted 20 seconds. This acoustic effect wasn't accidental. The builders calculated the exact curve and height needed to create this haunting reverberation. Ventilation systems built into the walls maintained air circulation throughout the sealed chambers, preventing humidity buildup that could damage the delicate inlay work. By 1648, the dome and main structure stood complete, an engineering triumph that defied every limitation of 17th century technology. But the most intricate work still lay ahead, the decorative artistry that would transform this structural achievement into artistic perfection. With the structural marvel complete, the builders faced their ultimate artistic challenge. How do you transform cold white marble into something that appears to be alive with color and movement? What techniques could possibly create decorative work so intricate that visitors would need magnifying glasses to fully appreciate the craftsmanship? The decorative phase began with the most ambitious inlay project ever attempted in human history. Pietra dura, the art of stone inlay, would cover virtually every surface of the completed structure. But this wasn't simple decoration. This was precision engineering, applied to artistic expression. Each tiny piece of coloured stone had to be cut to tolerances measured in hundredths of inches. The master inlay artists, working with microscopic precision, created grooves in the marble, using tools so fine they resembled surgical instruments. More than construction equipment, individual stone pieces, some no larger than grains of rice, were shaped by hand to fit perfectly into these carved channels, creating seamless colour transitions. Here's what makes this incredible. A single floral motif, measuring just 6 inches across, could contain over 300 individual stone pieces, each one uniquely shaped. The colour palette drew from precious stones gathered across 3 continents. Deep blue lapis lazuli created night sky backgrounds, while green malachite formed delicate leaf patterns. Red carnelian and jasper provided warm flower tones. Yellow amber and topaz added golden highlights. Black marble from Belgium created dramatic outlines. The precision required for colour matching pushed stone selection to obsessive levels. Craftsmen examined thousands of potential pieces to find exact shade matches. Pattern repetition across vast wall surfaces required mathematical planning that coordinated millions of individual elements into perfectly balanced compositions. The floral designs weren't random artistic choices. They followed precise botanical studies of real flowers and plants, each petal, leaf, and stem rendered with scientific accuracy. Iris, lotus, and tulip motifs, repeated in endless variations, but never exactly identical. Each flower showed subtle differences that prevented monotonous repetition. While maintaining overall harmony, the calligraphy work presented even greater challenges. Arabic script in marble required understanding both linguistic meaning and visual proportions. Quranic verses flowed around doorways and across vast wall expanses in perfect geometric arrangement, each letter carved with religious reverence and artistic precision. But here's the genius part. The text appears uniform in size from every viewing distance. Letters near ground level are actually smaller than those high overhead. This optical compensation required mathematical calculations that determined exact letter sizes for specific viewing angles and distances. The carving depth for each letter was precisely calculated to create proper shadows that enhanced readability under various lighting conditions. Border patterns surrounding the main decorative panels required their own specialized techniques. Geometric interlacing designs created visual frames that enhanced central motifs. These border patterns followed complex mathematical rules based on Islamic geometric principles, where every line and angle related to others through precise ratios. The tool-making process for such delicate work became an art itself. Specialized chisels, files, and cutting implements were forged specifically for individual decorative techniques. Quality control reached fanatical levels. Completed inlay work underwent multiple inspections, using magnifying lenses to detect imperfections invisible to normal vision. Rejected decorative panels were completely removed and started over. No matter how many weeks of meticulous work had already been invested, the polishing process, applied to finished surfaces, created mirror-like reflections that multiplied decorative patterns. Through light and shadow play, different polishing techniques were used for various stones to optimize their natural properties. Lapis lazuli received treatment that enhanced its deep blue color, while jade polishing emphasized translucent qualities. Protective coatings applied to delicate inlay work used natural resins and oils that sealed stone surfaces against weather damage, while maintaining color brilliance. The timeline for decorative work extended over 8 years. Teams of artists working simultaneously on different sections to maintain consistent quality across the entire structure. Apprentice training programs ensured technique consistency. Master craftsmen taught specialized skills, to younger workers, maintaining quality standards. Throughout the long project, documentation systems recorded every decorative element, its location, pattern type, and stone composition, creating archives that guided maintenance. For centuries afterward, the final decorative triumph was the ceiling work inside the main chamber, where inlay patterns created the illusion of a star-filled night sky. By 1652, the decorative phase approached completion. 20 years of artistic labor had transformed structural engineering into visual poetry, but this magnificent achievement still required its final elements, the finishing touches that would complete humanity's most ambitious construction project. By 1654, after 22 years of unprecedented construction, the final stone was placed, the last inlay completed. The most ambitious building project in human history had reached its conclusion. On a morning in late 1654, the scaffolding came down, for the final time, revealing the completed monument. To its first astonished viewers, who could barely comprehend what human hands had accomplished, the statistical achievement defied contemporary understanding. 20,000 craftsmen had labored for 2 decades, moving over 1 million tons of marble and precious materials from across 3 continents. The financial investment totaled 32 million rupees, equivalent to over $1 billion in today's currency, making it the most expensive single construction project of the pre-industrial age. But numbers alone cannot capture the true legacy of this extraordinary achievement. The Taj Mahal established new standards of precision that influenced architecture for centuries to come. Engineering techniques developed during its construction spread across the Islamic world and eventually reached Europe, where they contributed to advances in structural design and decorative arts. The optical illusions built into its proportions demonstrated understanding of human visual perception that wouldn't be formally studied by Western science until the 19th century. Master craftsmen who learned specialized techniques during the Taj's construction carried this knowledge to other projects, creating a generation of unprecedented skilled artisans. The building's influence extended far beyond architecture. It inspired poets and philosophers, challenged engineers and mathematicians, and created new standards for artistic achievement. European travelers who witnessed the completed structure carried descriptions back to their home countries, sparking interest in Indo-Islamic design that influenced neoclassical architecture. Modern preservation efforts, beginning in the 20th century, revealed construction secrets that continue to amaze contemporary engineers and materials scientists. Air pollution from nearby industries has posed new threats to the marble surfaces that survived centuries of natural weathering without significant damage. Restoration projects, using laser cleaning technology and chemical treatments, work to preserve the original craftsmanship. For future generations, digital documentation has created precise records of every decorative element, ensuring that restoration work maintains historical accuracy and respects original techniques. Today, over 4 million visitors annually experience this architectural marvel, each one witnessing the same impossible perfection that astonished viewers 4 centuries ago. The Taj Mahal endures not just as a beautiful building, but as proof of human potential when skill, dedication, and vision combine with unlimited commitment to achieving the impossible. As we reach the end of this extraordinary story, we leave behind more than just architectural history. We've witnessed human capability pushed beyond every limitation. In an age without computers, without modern machinery, without advanced mathematics, 20,000 craftsmen created something so perfect that it continues to challenge our understanding of possibility. The Taj Mahal stands today, as it has for 370 years, a testament to the power of human hands and minds working together toward a shared vision of perfection. Every sunrise illuminates the same pristine marble that first reflected dawn light in 1654. Every sunset casts shadows through the same perfect arches that have framed evening light for centuries. In the quiet of night, when the crowds have departed and modern Agra settles into sleep, the Taj Mahal continues its eternal watch over the Yamuna River. Tomorrow will bring new visitors, new challenges for preservation, new discoveries about its construction secrets. But the building that represents humanity's highest achievement will continue standing, a reminder that when we commit completely to excellence, when we refuse to accept the word impossible, when we gather the world's greatest talents in service of a single vision, we can create something that transcends time itself, something that speaks across centuries about the boundless potential that lies within human imagination and skill. Rest now in the knowledge that such beauty exists, that such precision is possible, that human beings once achieved the impossible and left it standing. For all the world to see, the Taj Mahal, eternal, perfect, and forever, a monument to what we can accomplish when we dream without limits.